Great Hall. The grey and brown pelts of mice flit between the boards. The brazier's chains are rigid with rust. It feels as if cobwebs are the only things holding this rickety old mess together. Something has made a nest out of old straw and mattress ticking. Barracks. Steward, as you come to the end of the great hall, you perceive an inviting warmth radiating from a grand throne, wrought out of marble, its masterful artistry out of place amidst the castle's more practical stonework. The veiled face of a woman is carved above the throne's backing, watching over the room with hollow eyes. At your approach, you feel the warmth fluctuate as though staring. A voice rings out from the carving permeating the fortress through stone and air.
Another watcher in Cadnua, glowing very brightly indeed to these eyes. What strange happenstance.
Aris Mittal says, "Who's that speaking?"
I'm sorry if I startled you. I'm afraid my manners have been slipping. I haven't had much opportunity for introductions lately. In any case, I assume you're here looking for Meerwald.
Aris Mittal says, "Are you imprisoned in that throne?"
Imprisoned? At times it feels that way, I suppose. But it's more that I reside here. The throne was brought up from the ruins, one of the first things they found. As a last favor to a dying woman, the Earl arranged for me to be moved into it. Audra is an accommodating vessel for a soul.
So, a dying woman wishes for her soul to be moved into the throne? Using Audra, why would the dying woman want her soul to be moved into the throne? And I remember Odema says something about Audra and the soul butchers in Defiance Bay.
Oh, it's not as confining as it seems. I can feel the whole keep from here, and all things that are tied to it. There's something about this throne and its construction. Or maybe it's something about this place.
Aris Mittal says, "Tell me more about Meyerwald."
He was a great man. He came here one day, young with long hair and polished armor, and he banished the dark things that had come to lurk in this place after centuries of neglect. He could see the beauty of this place, the way it had been, so he claimed it for his own when no one else would take it. We worked together to restore it. But he began to grow distant some time ago. He never told me why. He retreated deeper and deeper into the keep, never leaving, sending servants for food, hiding himself from my sight. The restoration stopped. Now, to look at the place, you'd never know the progress we'd made. In most places, it's worse than it ever was. And all I can do is watch it crumble around me.
The voice gives a wistful sigh. So there are servants. Where are these servants? Are they still here, or have they left this place? Aris Mittal says, "Any idea where I can find Meyerwald?"
I can feel his presence faintly somewhere deeper inside the keep. But he uses his gifts to confound me, and my senses are dulled while he does so. I only wish I could know his mind.
Arismital says farewell.
Take care in your search. Many dangers lie in wait here.
Steward says the Watcher returns. Well, one of them at least. Have you had any luck finding Myrwald?
Take care in your search. Many dangers lie in wait here.
Okay. The brazier's chains are rigid with rust. Mother.
Been out playing soldier again, have we? Go wash up and come help me shuck these peas.
As you draw nearer, the apparition in front of you resolves into an elven woman. Her stringy hair is tied back, and she tugs at a loose thread on her apron. There's a distant hollow look in her eyes until she notices you. A frail smile descends like a veil over her face. She turns from you long enough to produce a basket that, like her, is shimmering and semi-transparent. And no complaints. You've got to eat your vegetables if you want to grow up strong and be a real soldier one day. Just like we agreed, right? She watches you out of the corner of her eye. Arismital says, "What are you talking about?"
Soldiers are important people. They defend the weak and punish the wicked. You're too young to understand now, but there are lots of wicked people. People like the man who murdered your father.
Her voice rises and falls as she bends over the basket. She sighs, a spectral strand of hair fluttering. She snaps off a shell with a torn fingernail. She crushes another husk between finger and thumb. Arismital says, "Remind me what happened to, my father."
Before you were born, the Glanfathans attacked settlers like us. They said we'd knocked over some of their special Adra rocks. That's why they call it the Broken Stone War. They got very angry, and so they came into our villages and killed many people. Your father was one of them.
Her brittle smile snaps. A pod slips out of her grasp, and she jabs the side of her finger with a jagged thumbnail. She says nothing as the skin slowly turns from white to red. So, a ghost of someone whose husband killed by Glanfathans. The previous ghost outside. He was addressing soldiers. So this place, has it changed hands between the Glanfathans and the colonists? The character creation mention about the conflict between the colonists and the people of Eir Glanfath. And this ghost mother mention Broken Stone War. So apparently the settlers knocked over some of the Glanfathan's Adra rocks. Aris Mittal says he was one of the people the Glanfathans killed. Mother says that's what I said. Her voice is low and hoarse, and her hand is frozen over the basket. Something dark and empty clouds over her eyes.
That's why you'll be a soldier one day. To protect and to avenge. Why don't you go back out and play? I'll finish up here.
She drops the basket and turns away, dabbing at her face with the corner of her apron. She stares at the trickle of blood on her finger. Interesting. New map discovered dungeons. The silver trail of slugs gleam inside the barrels. Dungeons.
Brave thou Sheila.
Spider venom sac, the mottled venom gland of a spider bulging with deadly fluids.
New orders, Lieutenant. Ready your squad.
Okay. The ghost says, "New orders, Lieutenant. Ready your squad." Commander. A spectral man arrayed in armor and an officer's cloak studies a single sheet of paper. You can see straight through it to the ducal and idear insignias on his breastplate. He seems to read over the page several times before looking up at you. When he does, his expression is unreadable.
There's been a change of plans. Take your squad and march south all the way to the bow in the river. Bring a wagon team and a dozen barrels of pitch.
Commander's voice falters and he shakes his head. The hand holding the paper drops to his side. Aris Mittal says, "Tell me about the orders."
The instructions come from Admeth Hadred himself, which means they might as well have come from the Duke. We're to burn those hut dwellers out. Set fire to the deerwood so they've nowhere to retreat. Cut them down when they come out. Or let them blaze if they won't.
The commander rolls the orders into a thin scroll. A ghostly sigh forms a mist in front of his lips.
It'll make this even shorter than the broken stone war, all right. And we can only hope it'll discourage future conflicts.
The commander's mailed fist tightens around the rolled paper. He looks at you.
I know this is personal for you. It is for many of us. But understand, we're doing this to end this war, not to continue the last one. Remember that we're flushing out the enemy, not burning villages for sport. Bareth will have his work cut out for him tonight.
You feel nothing when the commander's hand drops to your shoulder. This cut is rough with splinters. Endless Paths of Odnua, Level 1.
I'll see what I can do.
We'll take those farmers by surprise.
We'll take those farmers by surprise. Raider.
Almost time. Di and Heather scouted the village last night. They're rounding up the rest of the party now.
An elven man turns to face you. His cheeks, his forearms, and the cartilage of his long pointed ears are smeared with indigo and blue paints. He grins wickedly beneath a thatch of wild hair. Arismetal says, what party?
Don't worry, everyone remembers the raid was your idea. The Rio had to go along with it after you'd gotten the rest of the clan riled up. No one wants it said that the Nine Claws were too cowardly to stand with the rest of the tribe when the foreigners desecrated our ruins.
The raider's phantasmal face sails through your shoulder. Arismetal says, the Riau? The ragged stripes of paint on the raider's face twist as he laughs. You may not like them, but they're still our elders for now. A dead grey tooth pierced from between his lips. That was clever, drawing the support of the community first. By the time you approach the Riau, they had no choice but to support us. There's no doubt you'll join their ranks one day, so long as no farmer's pitchfork fells you tonight. The raider laughs.
The tribes need more leaders like you, women who value deeds over words.
The ghostly warrior gives you a long, covetous look. His semi-transparent eyes blaze as they crawl over you. He reaches toward your cheek but stops midway, his splayed fingers quivering as a tremor of doubt runs through him.
You were right. We were too soft when the foreigners first came, and now they humiliate us. We'll be soft no more, and the invaders will learn to leave us alone once and for all.
The raider drops his hand to his side instead, drawing a notched blade from his belt. Interesting.
The work of a moment.
No. Keep away from us. Leave us!
Myrwald, a large liver-spotted man, barrel-chested and paunchy, cowers in the far corner of the rooms, his white hair a tangled, stringy mess. He covers his face and chest with trembling hands, unable to look in your direction.
Maybe we should come back later?
Arismetal says, are you Myrwald? Myrwald looks up over his hand, the muscles around his eyes twitching, and begins whispering to himself in sharp hisses, as though having an argument. All at once he stops shaking, a sudden calmness falling over him. His head tilts forward slightly, and he looks you dead in the eye, like a cornered animal about to pounce. His voice turns suddenly raspy.
Mayor Wald isn't here, and he isn't fooled. He has sent for no callers. Be gone, deceiving spirit!
So, multiple personality disorder? Different accent, different voice. And he's addressing himself as Myrwald, and says Myrwald isn't here. Arismetal says, I'm a watcher. I met a woman in Gilded Vale who thought you could help me.
Mayor Wald will speak with you, but you will maintain your distance, or you'll have me to answer to.
What the heck? The old man turns his body away and has another muttered, sputtering argument, facing the wall. When he turns back toward you, he has taken a confident stance, and his chest is puffed out like a soldier's. A new strength enters his voice.
Come to speak to Mayor Wald? Mayor Wald, whose touch is poison? Mayor Wald, who knows not his effect?
The voice changes again. The man's posture folds, and the hands he'd held strongly at his sides a moment ago resumed their original tremors. His voice is feeble and tentative. Arismital says, I was told I am a watcher, and that you could tell me more about it. Kana says, and about, tablet of some worth after that, once you two are finished, of course.
A window to the ether where spirits dwell. Peer and reach into it, speak and listen through it. A watcher sees souls, reads them, knows their pasts, souls of the living, souls of the dead, an empath, and the souls see them back. Used it to help beings in both realms, did I. What the gods wanted of me, thought I.
Meyerwald nods, still half distracted, eyeing the door behind you. He exhales feebly, his breath whizzing. So, why is Meyerwald eyeing the door behind me? Is something behind me?
The gods put me in the world for vengeance, and I obliged.
A different voice. With a quick spasm, his shoulders straighten and his voice becomes strong.
It was the gods' wishes that we protect those lands. My way was the only way to remove the foreigners.
Meyerwald tilts his head forward, glowering at you, and his voice is raspy. Okay, so far there are 3 different voices. The cowering voice, which is, I think, Meyerwald, and then the strong one, and now this, mentioning the gods. 3 personalities.
Little I knew.
Meyerwald shrinks down and is himself once more. He cradles his face in shaking hands. Arismital says, You seem to have lost your mind.
Lost? No. Found more of it. Too much to bear. An awakening.
Aloth's eyes narrow as he looks at the old man. How could a simple awakening have driven you to this? Arismital says, You mean you remember your past lives? Ah, interesting. Past lives. Okay, I'm going to choose number 2. Arismital asks, What's an awakening?
Many lifetimes we have. Souls enter womb and exit corpse. Carry with them all experiences, all knowledge, all identities. Yet we do not remember. Hidden from us. What end? What end? Only the gods know. Certain things can stir memories from lives long buried. Awaken the old memories, the old personalities. Memory, personality, identity, any might resurface. Or all.
Meyerwald looks again at the door behind you. Arismital says, And I seem to be having a conversation with several of them right now.
Ghosts of the mind. Meyerwald has lost control. Meyerwald's body no more.
He nods, sheepish. Arismetal says, the spirits I pass, what are they?
Spirits, and not spirits. Always whispering to Mayorwald, reminding him of his mistakes. No sleep. Watchers see memories before them, form them from the essence of their own souls. Once Mayorwald awakened, he could not make them leave. Gave them more form, not less.
Arismetals asks, the spirits are memories from previous lives?
Troubled memories, angry memories, pulling Mayorwald back, reminding him his mistakes. Marauder and soldier, soldier and marauder, how could they know?
Marwald nods, a piteous look on his face. So, the other two voices, apart from Marwald, is that of a marauder and a soldier. The one mentioning the gods, and another. Arismetal asks, why do these past lives still trouble you?
My fault. All my fault. Soldier and marauder, soldier and marauder and Mayorwald. No forgiveness for what's past. No undoing what's done. No sleep. No sleep for the Watcher.
Marwald looks at you, beggy-eyed and lost.
War there was all around. War of stone, war of tree.
War of stone? Does it refer to the... Who said about a war earlier? Who was it that talked about a war earlier? Was it the Commander Ghost, the Raider Ghost, or the Mother Ghost? Kana says, War of Tree. Oh, of course. The Broken Stone War and the War of Black Trees. This was in the early period of Iderian colonization, fighting between the Dierwood colonists and the native Glanfathans, you see. But that was a long time ago.
Death we brought to the settler men. We, the 9 claws. Claws of 9. Worse what we did to the women. For love of the gods. The gods' love. For their love.
The 9 claws. The Raider Ghost mentioned the 9 claws. They are from the 9 claws. And Marwald said, worse what we did to the women. What? Torture? Rape? Arismetal says, I met one of your memory spirits. There was talk of raiding a village. Marwald's voice becomes raspy, and he is somewhere else in place and time, speaking to someone unseen.
Hold her down. Head her. Give this Addy a bitch an air that belongs in Air Glodfath.
Ah, I see, so it is raping time. It was. Marwald cringes himself again, watching something he cannot bear to see. Shaking his head over and over, he wails. So Marwald's past lives, one of them is of the raiding, the raider, I see. Duran says his soul is marked by flame, and those marks will never heal. His trial has broken him, but better that than to live in weakness. Aris Mittal says, take your time, it's over now. It was long ago. Continue when you're ready.
The boy. The boy. The baby boy. The boy. Conceived in the raid. Conceived by force. Vessel for Marauder. Slain in the raid. Marauder and the boy. Marauder and soldier.
Marwal's voice thins to a cracking whisper. So, the marauder that raped a woman, slain in the raid. After he died, his soul enters the boy conceived from the rape. So, the soul of the marauder raped a woman. The boy born from the rape possessed the same soul as the slain marauder. The boy is inhabited by the same soul as the slain marauder, and the boy became a soldier. Aris Mittal says, a baby conceived by the raider. What do you mean it was a vessel for him? Ah, I see.
For the soul. Marauder's soul. Same soul. One soul. Boy's soul. Marauder's soul. Raised in lies and vengeance. Raised to soldier. Raised for the fire. Born for the fire.
Aris Mittal says, then that was his mother I met in the keep. She told him his father was killed by the raiders. So it was a lie then.
You'll get no pity from me. The crimes of the Nine Claws clan in the last war are still unavenged. But the gods are just. They have led me here. In my father's name, every one of you will burn.
Marwal straightens up. Marwal straightens up, his voice deep. He speaks to some invisible thing. He looks to his side. He looks off to his side, as if at someone else standing nearby. So this is the result of the commander's orders, the ghost commander's orders, to flush out the, what? The clan, the tribe, the tribists, the tribes, the Glanfathans. Eder says, what? So he came back in his next life to burn his own clan. No wonder he's such a mess now. That'll stain you right down to your soul. Well, Eder, I don't think he remembers his past life when he's burning, when he was doing the burning. Marwal's shoulders slump. He rocks back and forth, agitated. He mutters to himself, oblivious to your presence.
Soldier and marauder, lies and vengeance, and dead villages. All dead. All dead. What for? What for?
Marwal looks at you. Aris Mittal says, whatever the reason, I don't think we're meant to know.
How little we know.
Myrwald shakes his head bitterly. Arismital asks, how do you tell a spirit from a memory?
Fragmented are memories. Stuck in time. Mindless, cruel, never far.
Arismital says, I've seen apparitions like those elsewhere since I became a watcher.
Oh no, 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 no. You too. You too.
Tears well in Myrwald's eyes. All at once, in spite of his abject misery, his expression changes to one of utmost sympathy. Poor man, says Myrwald.
They will take you too.
Aloth's eyes dart between you and Myrwald. What exactly does he mean? Surely something can be done. Arismital says, you're saying I will end up like you.
So fragile the Watcher's mind. So real his memories. Once awakened, how can he sleep?
Myrwald pouts, as though holding his mouth closed so that the answer won't escape. At length he nods. Arismital asks, if I'm awakened to a past life, how would that have happened?
You were reminded of it. Strong memories, lingering lives, they dwell near the surface, waiting to be remembered, waiting to take your mind for their own. Meyerwald sat at his hearth and watched his fire, watched the wood burn. Then came the memory of another fire and burning wood and screams.
Myrwald's face trembles involuntarily. Arismital says, there must be some way to make these memories go away.
No. Always there, always remembered. Can't forget, can't unsee.
Arismital says, I didn't just remember. Someone caused this. They wore masks and spoke of books and keys and a queen. There was a man there. He seemed familiar to me.
Keys of lead, books of burden, queens that were. Known to me are they, the leaden key.
Leaden key. Kana says the leaden key. It seems we share an enemy, Arismital. Assassins and watcher-wakers both. They certainly keep busy. Watcher-wakers? Arismital asks, what can you tell me about this leaden key?
Secrets, and deceptions, and schemes. Who knows their answers? Not they. Not they. Crossed them before. Hatred of watchers, hatred and fear. Much we see. Threat to secrets.
So the leaden key hates watchers? Arismital asks, who is this queen they pray to?
Woodica, goddess, crown shattered and body burned. Binder of oaths and grudge holder. Bearer of justice. But whose?
Woodica, goddess. Arismital asks, if the leaden key caused my awakening, could they undo it?
Many secrets do they keep. Unawakened? Mayhap. Who else if not they?
Myrwald's bushy, white eyebrows edge upward. He begins muttering to himself. Just as you are about ready to repeat your questions, he speaks. Arismital asks, do you know where I might find the leaden key?
City of Defiance, never far from the Queen.
Arismital says, I need to go so I can search for this man from the leaden key.
Sleep well. Sleep well.
Myrwald nods at you, a look of understanding on his face.
Hold! I know your will die. Your actions were seen. You would sooner betray us to the Adir land thieves than take orders from me.
Ah. Before you turn to exit, he tilts his head forward. His eyes lock with yours, cold and dangerous, his voice gravely. I remember the raider ghost mentioned die, was it? So die, he or she did not follow orders from this raider ghost or the raider from the past. Arismital says, "You're confusing me with someone from a past life."
Your betrayal is for nothing. Your warnings are lost on these foreigners, and their blood will be Gallowayne's tribute this night. I have asked the elders for the honor of claiming your head as my first trophy, and they have granted it. Beg for the Seeker God to grant you a quick death.
Seeker God. Okay. What should I do? Flame Blight? Small Wind Blight? There is a change in the air of the keep. What was thick and suffocating feels to you somehow more breathable, as though yielding to a conquering invader. Marwal's body lies inert. You can feel his soul lingering there uncertain. There is something unique about this soul in this place, a bond formed in decades of inhabitants and lordship that feels somehow palpable to you. As though even in death, the keep knows its former master, and the former master remembers his keep. Arismital was granted speaker to the restless. In your mind's eye, the bond seems to you as a frayed rope. Ghostly and alive, its frayed ends writhing like a tight pull anemones, and you find that if you concentrate on it, you have the ability to manipulate its strands. Arismital draws upon the energy of the rope itself, siphoning knowledge from the connection. You turn both ends of the rope towards you, bringing them into contact with your essence, and as you do, the fibers turn to copper, and through them an energy is conducted into your being. You are traveling downward now beneath the place you stand, seeing places dank and cobwebbed and malignant, like some untended garden overgrown with flora and overrun with vermin. Below everything, at the very bottom, you glimpse for an instant some being you cannot quite make out, presiding over it all with brilliant and terrifying power. One image remains in your perception, a circular room with a stone tablet that resembles the sun, in an area guarded by suits of armor that move of their own volition. It is deep not far from the very bottom. There is a door in that room, invisible to all but the most fastidious of eyes, and beyond it something shimmering, something powerful. As the image fades, you find yourself in Kite Nua once more. Mirewald's soul is nowhere to be seen. Mirewald's Grimoire. Grimoire often contains spells that your wizards may not know. For a small cost, you can learn those spells from the description panel. You may also fill additional grimoires with different spells. Place them in your wizard's quick item slots to switch them. But be careful, switching grimoires will temporarily lock wizards out of spell casting for several seconds. The sickly sweet smell of rot rises from this half-eaten fruit. A worn book lies on the table, its pages filled with nonsensical scrolls.
I'll have this open in no time. It's done.
Silver Fanning. This large silver coin is useful for large transactions in the Idea Empire and many of their colonial territories.
I'll give it a try, at least, as requested.
Yes?
Yes?
Hey, I'm here. I shall.
You cannot wit that older set? I don't want to discuss it.
Aloth is talking to himself. Two different accents, just like back in Gilded Vale. Different accents, talking to himself. Very similar to what's going on with Mirewald. Interesting.
Brave thou shalt not believe.
Most inconvenient charge!
These are These are Zaurib's corpses. Cape of Reflection. Moonstone derives its name from its moonlight-like luster and is sometimes collected by Ondra's gift-bearers, who associate the stone's presence in the world with the legends of Ondra's love affair with the moon. Cobblestones and bricks are bound to the rusted old cart by thick spider webs. Heavy iron key. This heavy iron key has an ID stamp upon its handle. The handle is coated with a rough layer of rust. A shimmering wall of energy extends across this doorway like a curtain. It repels forward movement with unnatural force. Kana says, interesting. Perhaps the voice in that throne upstairs knows more. Alright? Stone beetle. There is a corpse of someone in armor. The head is separated from the body. Gruesome death.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
Oops. Luther, what? What are looters doing here? Looting? Corpse.
Brave thou Philon.
Most inconvenient.
Spider Queen. Oidreact. Oidreact once belonged to a prominent military instructor in the capital city of Idir. The instructor was a cipher whose gifts were seldom used by his empire, and he grew frustrated at his superior's inability to see the potential of ciphers to perform key missions that no other force would be capable of. He began making his opinion known, and over time, the opinion became more subversive and radical, until at last his unsanctioned activities got him charged with treason. The officer and the crew that came to detain him however, underestimated him as much as the Empire had. And with only this blade and the talent of his mind, he slew his would-be captors. He fled the city and embarked on a life as a duelist, obsessed with proving his potential to any who would question it. In the end, his life ended in the manner of the lives of duelists typically do, and the potential he often spoke of would remain just that. The knife still bears his psychic imprint, and the wielder will often get flashes of the maneuvers the original owner performed in order to deliver the killing blow to his opponent. Some regard this as a curse, but many find value in it and use such experiences to better realize the knife's potential. Were it not for evidence of heavy use about the handle and pommel, Oidreapt would seem new, its cutting edge perfectly beveled and honed without a single nick along its length. Weathered and covered with a dull patina, its elaborately carved pillar appears far older than the surrounding structure. Tiny spider, far smaller than its wilder cousins. This pocket-sized spider has surprisingly alert little eyes. It circles around to look up at you whenever you approach. Spider. Where is the spider? It's a pet. Tiny spider. For the pet slot. A pet spider. I don't like the idea. Sorry. What is this green gooey? Ah, back outside. Okay.
Bit to slick your breeches, scholar lad.
I beg your pardon?
Nothing. I said nothing.
What? What does it mean when Allah says bit to slick your breeches, scholar lad? What? Kana's face flushes, his gold-brown skin going a ruddy shade. What does bit to slick your breeches, scholar lad means that makes Kana's face blushes? Huh?
I felt Mayor Wald's passing. You slew him.
Arismital says, several of him.
It saddens me to hear it, but part of me is grateful to no longer have to wait and worry in darkness. This place has always known its master, long as it's had one. It has a will all its own, which has little to do with the castle and much to do with the land it's built on. It looks to you as Mayor Wald's successor now, whether you care for it or not. A dubious honor, inheriting a fortress both broken and cursed. But in the right hands, it could be so much more. If you had only seen it in its day. Will you stay?
Your stronghold is now available. You can manage your stronghold at any time through the castle icon. Arismital says, what do I want with a ruin? The energy seems all at once to drain from the air. Steward says, it is your decision, of course. The keep knows you for its master all the same. Given time, it could be a place you would be proud of. It only needs a guiding hand. If you truly do mean to continue on, I should mention first that you'll find the road barred to you. The eastern Barbican collapsed decades ago, and Myrwald never got around to rebuilding it. The road here is a dead end. He got as far as gathering materials before his mind became preoccupied. I could make arrangements to have it repaired, if it is your will. When it ceased to be the previous master's will, I became powerless to do anything about it. But for what am I but the master's instrument? It would take time, far less than finding another route to Defiance Bay. Arismital asks, how do I repair the Barbican? Steward says, Myrwald set aside materials for the Barbican, and they are still available to you. In the future, if you wish to make further repairs to the keep, we will need coin for supplies and labor. Arismital asks, what does being the master of Kaid Nua entail? Steward says, why, there are many responsibilities involved in maintaining a keep. The extent to which you wish to get involved is entirely up to you, of course. Part of the reason I am here is to ensure that things run smoothly in your absence, provided we have been given instruction. If you instruct me on which repairs you wish to conduct next, I will make the necessary arrangements. This may take some time to finish, but each will provide you with additional resources once they are complete. Even somewhere to place them, we can hire tradesmen to provide you with supplies or ingredients. Repairing the keep will raise your prestige and draw both helpful individuals and unwelcome attention from bandits and opportunists. If we can raise the keep security in turn, this will become less of a concern. You should know, however, that the position does come with some risks. Your name will grow in fame and you must contend with threats to the keep. And then, there are other things. Was there anything else, my lord? Arismital asks, what did you mean when you said this keep was cursed? Steward says, Myrwald's curse was his own, a watcher's curse, but his predecessors have not fared better. There is a presence within the keep, or rather far beneath it. At least such has been the conclusion drawn by all who have come to this place. For what spirits still linger in the endless paths oft speak of a master below. Every effort to settle here has failed. From the time of our Idirian colonists onward, beasts rise from the endless paths, until the new lord or lady is no more. The one who dwells below, this master, does not tolerate rivals, it seems. I've seen, from time to time, intrepid explorers descend to lay claim to what answers they can, but none return. This is the force which has kept Kait Nua a barren ruin, and robbed me of my hopes. Kana says the endless paths, that, my friend, is where I must go, where we must go. If you will go with me, whatever devils lie beneath, think too what knowledge we will find. Perhaps this master speaks Aidiran. Arismital asks what are the endless paths. Stuart says, the endless paths of Otnua, that is the name given to the labyrinth beneath the keep. The Earl, we were warned by the Glanfathans that this site was cursed, and there is a legend attached to it, though at the time we thought nothing of it. The ruins were built, it is said, by a powerful Engwithan named Otnua, who ruled there until his people turned against him. They destroyed his endless paths and filled many of the upper tunnels in with soil and stone. No one living knows how far down the tunnels stretch, and few who have ventured there have returned. There is much talk of riches and treasure. The promise of Engwithan relics alone has drawn many fortune seekers to their deaths, I fear. So Stuart says a few who have ventured there have returned. So there are some who return and some who did not return. Those who return, what did they bring? I'm curious. Arismital asks, who is this master below? Stuart says, I could not say with any certainty. I believe it must be tied to the man said to have been the architect of the endless paths, the Engwithan tyrant Otnua. Some claim his spirit endures, or at least has laid a curse upon the site. I cannot imagine much remains of his work, for the ruins have been here 1,000 years or more, but what is left is impressive. The Earl certainly thought so. You may have seen while below the hand of the great statue Otnua constructed. Perhaps it is a statue of Otnua himself. Statue. I didn't see any statue down below. Arismital asks, but am I not the master of Kait Nua? Stuart says, of course you are. The keep would have no other, but the endless paths are a different thing entirely. It is unfortunate really that they are so closely entwined. If the master below is not dealt with, there will always be a threat to the keep from within. I know it is much to take in, but if you would remain, if you would be lord of this place, then I can only advise you to seek out this foe before it destroys you. Arismital says, I have other questions. Stuart says, yes, how can I help? Arismital says, time to find this queen in the City of Defiance. Stuart says, you must know this queen you're looking for. Defiance Bay has no queen. The McQueens of Aidir haven't reigned here since the war. The only queen with any power there is Wodika. I am told they erected an exquisite temple in her honor there, but I was never able to see it. If you mean to go there, we can get started right away on repairing the Barbican. You need only tell me what you wish to do and I'll make the necessary arrangements. Meyerwald kept a ledger as it happens, and I have taken the liberty of updating it. You could take a look if you wish. Arismital says, let me see what repairs I can make. Stuart says, then we'll get underway at once. The steward's voice belies a giddy excitement. No, my lord, that this is but the first and least of a great many undertakings. The keep supported a great many buildings and servants for many years. If you should wish it, we can repair some of the outlying structures, and this will bring you wealth and recognition, drawing people to your service. Rebuilding the defenses will keep your grounds from becoming overrun, as they did under Myrwald's keeping. You need not choose all at once. I am pledged to your aid, and so long as you are master here, we shall always be linked. You need not step upon these grounds to speak with me, wherever your travels may take you. You can make your will known to me, if you but reach out. Oh, but first, of course, the Barbican. Upgrades to your stronghold cost money and take time to complete. Each upgrade can add security or prestige to the stronghold, or add additional functionality like resting bonuses, periodic free crafting ingredients, or new stores. Okay, Stronghold Updates, Eastern Barbican. The Eastern Barbican gates passage to the Wood End Plains, the crossroads between Kaitnua, Deerford, and Defiance Bay. Purchase. Interesting.
It is good to see you here. I can feel a change in the air already. There is much to do. Is there anything I can do to help?
Arismital asks, what is the state of the keep? Steward says, where to begin, let's see here. Events occur at the stronghold as time elapses. The higher your stronghold's prestige, the more positive the events tend to be. However, a high security is also important, as it can help prevent theft and kidnappings. Adventures are opportunities for your companions and adventurers to earn experience while they aren't in the party. Visitors can affect security and the prestige of the stronghold while they are present. Some events even offer rare items for sale during limited periods of time. Eastern Barbican completed. Bright Hollow Restoration. Restoring Bright Hollow will allow you to rest there. Other upgrades can unlock resting bonuses for it. Western Barbican requires main keep. Main keep? Where is main keep? Main keep. Upgrading the main keep will repair your Great Hall, allowing visitors and adventurers to be available to you and your companions. Hirelings. Hirelings help defend your stronghold from expensive collateral damage in the unfortunate event of an attack. They cost money to maintain, but their cost usually offsets the potential for damage. Hirelings also contribute to the security and prestige of the stronghold, sometimes negatively. You must build the barracks to recruit hirelings. From the party management screen, you can see what your allies are up to when they aren't in the party. If you've assigned them to adventures, you can see how long it will take for them to complete their assignment. Recalling a companion or adventurer from a mission before it is completed will forfeit all of the potential rewards for that assignment. I see. Okay.
Of course.
Eastern Barbican. Kaitnua Keep. Wooden Plains. 18 hours from Kaitnua to Wooden Plains. Hmm.
Hush, Itumak. We'll just wait a little longer.
Sagani Itumak. A dwarven woman dressed in skins and hides leans against the road marker. Her face is turned down, her eyes darkened by a thick stripe of face paint. She is sharpening a bone arrowhead with a scrimshaw-handled knife. Her attention, however, is focused on a bare figurine between her feet. A large white-furred fox standing at her heels looks up at your approach.
Easy, Itumak. It's not him.
Aris Mittel says, "Who are you waiting for?"
Short version? I'm looking for a very, very old friend. I'm not sure what skin he's wearing now, but I'll know him when I see him.
Aris Mittel says, "Standing around here is probably not the most productive thing you could do." Sagani says, "Perhaps not, but running around all over the Deerwood hasn't done much good so far." The fox next to her yawns. Aris Mittal asks, "Your friend is supposed to meet you here."
That's what I heard. Of course, the man who told me so was carrying a staff he claimed was made from dragon bone, but I know Whitewood when I see it. That should have been my first clue, but I had to try something.
Sagani rolls her eyes and shakes her head. Aris Mittal asks, "Try something. What exactly are you talking about?"
The long version. Here we go. I'm from an island to the far south called Nasitak. I came here looking for a village elder, a man we knew as Persok. I'm a hunter back home, so tracking someone wouldn't normally be a problem. But Persok's trail is cold, to say the least.
Sagani's shoulders rise and fall as she takes a deep breath. So, she's from Nasitak. According to the info from the character creation, is a place where the men are domesticated. Interesting. Aris Mittal says, "Why cannot you find him? There can't be that many of your people in the Deerwood." Sagani says, "He died when I was still a young girl. Forgot to mention that part, did I? I'm looking for his latest reincarnations, which could be anyone." Aris Mittal says, "How long have you been looking for Persok?" Sagani painted her brows lower. Sagani's painted brows lower and her compact muscular frame sags for just an instant. 5 years. Arismital says, So you've been searching 5 years for a stranger. You barely remember who could be anyone now?
That about sums it up.
Sagani gives you a slow, thoughtful nod. Arismital asks, Why do you have to find Persok? Sagani smiles wryly. There's more of a campfire tale, I'm not quite ready to get into it. Arismital says, Then it must be an important duty.
So I keep reminding myself. Still, it would be nice if important duties came with clearer instructions.
Sagani looks at the Adra figurine in the dirt. Arismital asks, How does that statuette figure into it? Sagani dusts the figurine on her trousers and raises it in her small flat palm. It's carved in the shape of a bear. Smooth and round, the polished Adra is worn to a dull mat along its arched back and ovoid haunches. A soft glow emanates from within.
Cute, isn't it? It belonged to Persok. Before he returned to the wheel, he left a splinter of his soul in it. Something to help us find him later.
As Sagani holds it out to you, you feel wisps of sensation. Not quite memories, but traces of someone.
When I left Nasitak, it was completely dark inside. But as I've gotten closer to Persok, it's glowed steadily brighter. Since I've reached the Deerwood, however, it's gotten hard to read. Some days it flickers and goes dark. Others it shines nice and bright, for a few hours. But most of the time it looks just like this.
Arismital says maybe it's broken. Sagani laughs hollowly. Even Skyn couldn't be that cruel. It's working, I'm sure of it. It's just not as precise as I'd hoped. Even so, she squints at it, looking doubtful. Arismital says Persok could be farther away still. Sagani shakes her head. I spent a year circling the area, thinking the same thing. Got as far south as Ozia and as far north as Fleetbreaker Castle, when I realized the figurine was going dark again. Same thing happened when I trekked through the White March and circled the base to the west. Arismital asks, what will you do now?
I can tell you what I won't do again. Rely on miracle peddlers. It was some so-called watcher who sent me to this crossroads in the middle of nowhere in the first place. I was on my way out of the Balmarsh when I heard talk of a traveling mystic who could supposedly see souls. I knew it was a long shot, but what did I have to lose? I went to see this fellow and gave him the Audra figurine. He made a big show of moaning and rolling his eyes, and after I'd given him 5 golden dukes to lift the shroud, he told me to seek the crossroads in the field between the wolf's lair and the twining trees.
Arismital asks, what's the wolf's lair? Sagani says, Defiance Bay. Locals call the current Duke Wolf Green. Sounds like it'd be fun to drink with. Arismital asks, is Twining Trees a real place? Sagani says, he meant Twin Elms. I haven't been there yet, but I hear they have some especially memorable trees. Arismital says, go on.
He thought he was being vague, but I know the area well enough to recognize that he meant this place, right between Defiance Bay and Twin Elms. I had a bad taste in my mouth, but my coin was spent and I'd already left an arrow in his knapsack as a friendly warning. Told him I'd come back and leave him with another if it turned out he was giving me the runaround. I've been here a week now. Guess he had the last laugh after all.
Aris Mittal asks, what if I'm Persok? Sagani says not to disappoint you, but there's no chance. This thing would glow like a torch. Sagani wiggles the figurine. Aris Mittal says you could still go after that false watcher. Sagani swats at the air. I was mostly trying to scare him. I wouldn't really kill a man over a few gold pieces. I don't have much use for coin anyway. Besides, knowing his type, he's cleared out of town by now and spent whatever he made. Aris Mittal asks, may I see the figurine?
Why?
Sagani looks at the Adra bear and then back to you, her eyes narrowed. Aris Mittal says, I'm a real watcher.
You expect me to believe that? After the story I just told you?
Sagani chuckles. Aris Mittal says, I mean it.
Fine. But if you try to run, just remember that my arrows are faster.
Sagani hands you the figurine, her chapped knuckles grazing your hand. She watches you examine it, wary but curious. Okay, I don't like the fact that she threatens Aris Mittal. I don't like it. I'm beginning to be a little bit disliking this woman. But not exactly dislike, just leaning towards it. I mean, the point required to dislike this woman is filling up, but not to the point that I dislike her. I hope not. I hope I won't end up disliking her. You raise the Adra bear, turning it in the light. As your eye catch a tiny glinting scratch, the scenery around you melts away. You're standing on a cliff, overlooking the water, seeing through eyes that aren't your own. You catch the musk of beasts amidst the fresh scent of vegetation, and your heart beats a little faster. You'll have to watch your step up here. You look down just long enough to see the sharp, pale cliffs drop into the water hundreds of feet below you. Aris Mittal says, I see a vision of cliffs high over the water. Does it sound familiar? Your question is greeted with shrugs and silence. Aris sniffs the breeze. Breathing deeply, you smell salt in the air. Wherever you're standing, wherever Persok is standing, must be near the ocean, not a lake. Aris Mittal examines the roads nearby. Deep ruts core the hard-packed dirt. These are the marks of wagons, numerous and heavy laden. A large city is close. Aris Mittal says, I've got it. He's standing on a cliff and returns the figurine.
What are you talking about? What just happened?
Sagani looks at the Adra bear herself, turning it a few times. She looks back at you. Aris Mittal says, I told you I'm a watcher. Sagani blinks at you a few times, calculating. Aloth says, I know this sounds strange, but it's the truth.
You realize I've got no coin to give you, even if I did believe you.
Aris Mittal says, come with me. I've got other business in the area and we can look for Persok on the way.
If this is your idea of a joke, you may be stuck with me for a while. Lead the way.
Sagani looks at you, her arms folded across her chest. She tucks the figurine into her pouch and her fox stands, shaking its pale coat. That white thing is a fox. It looks like a dog or a wolf. It's big for a fox. North to Kaitnua, west to Defiance Bay.
This isn't going.
Did it just get quieter?
Yes? I shall.
Don't even slow it! Attack! Attack!